Easy everyone. So in this tutorial we're going to be focusing on peak time speed garage, and I'm going to start off by showing you a sample pack, well, two sample packs actually, which I've been using heavily, not just in the sort of speed garage style tunes that I've been making, but also just generally, because they've just got some really nice clean one-shot drums and some great one-shot bass sounds. So yeah, basically they can be purchased on Bandcamp from a guy called Paul Cyril, and there's lots of different sample packs on here, various different styles. I've purchased the Speed Garage sample pack volume 1 here. I've also got the Retro House and Old School Rave one, which has got some really familiar sort of ravey samples in there. And I also have the Ultimate Speed Garage sample pack volume 1 as well. He does also sell some really good like Serum presets. These ones here for like house, tech, deep, bassline, garage, and yeah, like old school happy hardcore sample packs. I am going to dive in and have a go on some of the others. But basically what you have to do is, say you want the Ultimate Speed Garage pack. There's 2 on here, the 1 and 2. You go in here, you buy it, so it's 25 quid. But actually so worth it. I think the second one is my favourite. I've been using that a lot. Once you buy it, you have to wait for him to send you a link to download it. So yeah, they're just absolutely wicked packs, really, and it's exactly what we need for this sort of stuff. So if you go into these packs here, we've got the volume 1 here, and you've got the volume 2 here. So if I was to just take the volume 1, for example, in here you've got various different one-shot samples like this.
Stand, boys.
These sounds are all. Don't hold back, just let it move.
This is another mix. Run the rhythm track.
Avoid excessive use.
Hey, gringos, and get up my selector.
So these are really good. So I've used them in this loop here, which we'll get to in a minute, but stuff like this. Really good for filling out your tunes. So there's literally in here all these little one-shot sounds.
Hold on. Bigger news on that. Watch out. It is serious.
With there being pads and stuff in there, I would advise running it through something like mixed in key.
Oh, my bad boy. Give me the girl, let me the wickedest slum. The kind of girl we know.
So there's some sick, they're just like the little ragga samples that are like chopped up for you to use. There's also in the first pack like 367 one-shot bass sounds. And they're all sick as well. So what you do is you load them into a sampler. I'll show you how you go about doing that. You've also in here got these Speed Garage drum loops. Again, there's like 136, and that's just the first volume. You've got breakbeats in there. If you wanted to make something on a 2-step tip or more breaky, there's jungle ones as well. Yeah, so if you're that way inclined, you can make some jungle bits. There's also, in the second volume, some more individual, like, hits. And ragga effects and vocals.
Choose one.
And you've also got the drum loops in here again. And these are wicked, these ones. So they're really good to start with, and then you just high pass them and then layer them with other drums, I find, and then have them a little bit lower in the mix so that you've got that clarity and that punch. But in the second one, unfortunately, the first one doesn't have some individual one-shots, but in the second one, you've got these individual drum one-shots that are absolutely sick. I don't use the kicks, I'll be honest. Like, I find that these kicks just don't carry as much punch as some of the other, like, more processed, like, sample market style ones. So, what I am going to do is show you which kicks I would choose instead. And we've also got like claps in here. Like these clap snares are great. And then you've got these perks, which has also got some snares in. Perfect for making, and then hats as well, for making speed garage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this loop that I've put together beforehand. And then what we're going to do is we're going to build something from scratch once I've broken down this loop. So I'm going to just talk you through, I'm going to take you through the loop first. So let's have a listen. So I would say that probably 80-90% of the samples that I've used have come from that sample pack. And I've not used any loops whatsoever. I've built the drums from scratch using the one-shots, and then I've processed them, and then I've loaded in the one-shots into a sampler, and we've got various different layers of bass lines that are sort of playing off each other, but it's all really simple stuff, and I'm going to show you exactly how I've done it, and then we're going to make a little loop like that together. So let's start with the drums first of all. So I've got these channels here. So we've just got 6 drum channels. You've got these little crash effects and this little tambourine, but let's just focus on the one shots first of all. So I've programmed that loop entirely myself. Now we'll start just by looking at the way that they're put together. So we've got these perks, and we've also got like the clap and the hats. Within the clap, I believe there's some little like ghost snares and things like that. And then you've got some snares in here. But you can see that towards the end of these like little 4-bar phrases, you've got these little fills, and that's really what we're looking to do. And then we've got these little ghost notes and things in there. So we'll look at the way that I programmed it, and we'll look at where the samples have come from and the processing and things like that. But first of all, let's just start with the kick. Really simple stuff. And that's come from a Sidney Charles sample pack. If you've seen my videos recently, I've just using those kicks so much because they're just great. They're really cut through. And they're really well processed. You don't need to do much to them. I've just rolled out everything from about 34 hertz because obviously we're going to have a lot of sub bass from our bass elements. But really, this is basically all that we need to focus on. Then what we've got is like just a clap here. So we've got these little ones filling in, but it's a layer of 2 different claps, and they've both come from the sample pack. The speed garage one, which is obviously amazing. So in terms of processing, I've got a little bit of a reverb send down here with a short reverb on, which is from Pro R, just to give it a little bit of a sense of it not being just too dry. And then what I've done is I've used the transient master to give it more attack and just to pull back on the sustain a little bit, which just gives it a chance to cut through the mix. And then I've done a little bit of EQ on that so that it just takes out anything below like 100 hertz, 130 hertz. And then we've got 2 different samples from the Ultimate Speed Garage pack, these hat samples, and you can see that you've got a shuffle on. So I'm using the same swing on everything. I'm using the MPC 3000 16th swing at 64%, which is in Ableton. So if you go into the groove pull, it's just there. And then I've applied that to everything, every single element, even if I'm using something that's audio. So yeah, this is what we've got so far. So yeah, those little clap and hat shuffles are really important. You're just changing the velocities on them, but it's nothing different to what you would do. But basically it's the swing and the groove and you're filling these things in. But then here, when we introduce these perks, that's what gives it that real garage feel. So look for where the gaps are and you're really creating groove here. So I added all these percussions from the Ultimate Speed Garage pack. So then you've got this little fill at the end here. You see that there? And you're using loads of different samples, and that to me is how you get the garage vibe. And then I've also got 2 hats which I've taken from another garage pack, which is the Minimal Garage pack by, let me just have a look at that because that's a separate speed garage pack, separate garage pack. Hyper Minimal Garage, so I believe you can get that from Sample Market. I've just taken the hats from that. Then what I've done is I've done a right click and I've gone into here where it says Fix Grid, and it's usually by default 6:16, which is a bit of a shame because you can't really get in and add those triplets or the flam. So if you go in and you choose 32 like that, and then you just got these little like triplet fills, which sits really nicely with everything else. So let me just show you what I mean if I just solo all the drums again. And it's just those little fills that keeps things interesting. The crash is self-explanatory. It's no different to, but if you want to know where the samples come from, it's come from a Plastic People Garage House Essentials, Mark Cotterill, Volume 1. So yeah, just a garagey crash. So then we've got like this crash roll here. With Speed Garage, you want to be absolutely hammering it basically. And just having loads of crashes, loads of kick rolls, really just keeping the energy going. Proper peak time, silly business, you know what I mean? It's proper like daft, really, is the only way I'd describe it. And then, we've got this little crash effect, which has come from a 2-step Speed Garage Anthem sample pack. So we've got this. And then this little tambourine underneath it. It's just to fill out the space, really. So that comes in after the drop for even more energy. And then this is the another area. So this is the bass line. So we've got this one bass line here. And I just basically played this in by ear. So there's 3 notes in there. 3 notes, yeah. And I just played it in. Like I get my beat going first with the groove. You'll see when we start a new loop in a sec. But like I get the groove, just playing and just start feeling the groove. Really, I find that just playing on the keys on a MIDI keyboard and just like getting into the rhythm is the best way to do it, and then quantize afterwards. So we've got this one here. Now this is what I've done is it's a sampler. I've got one of the one-shot basses from the Speed Garage sample pack. I've just put it in there. I've put a little bit of erosion on to give it a bit of detail in the mids. And then this is another one shot. And I've high-passed this one very slightly because we've got this Diva bass line underneath it. So I've just added another sub in, which is a Diva preset called TUC Deep Click. And what I've gone in and done is I've brought the attack up slightly and just the cut off down a little bit. But yeah, so... And then I've took out the top end from that. And that just gives you that real low end business that we need. So I find that by changing the sound but keeping the notes the same, it makes it interesting. So and we've also got this other one. And they're just different one shots. And I've processed this one slightly differently because we've got an auto filter on there with the LFO at quarter note rate here, so that it's sweeping through the filter. And again, I've added some erosion on there. So let's listen to how it sounds when we switch from this one to this one before the drop. And then we go full in with the Diva in this. It just keeps the arrangement interesting. And And then we have this second element coming in. It's a bit higher. So I've just brought it down to the beginning there. I've took out the low end of this and it plays off these. It sounds a bit strange without the drums in, but let's give it context. So what I did was I copied the notes over, like just dragged it onto this channel with a different sound, but then I nudged all the notes along. So if you look at this one, the notes start there, and I've basically nudged it along so that they start here, and I've pitched it up by an octave so that you have this like little conversation going on between the two. So yeah, really simple stuff, but these little tricks are what's going to give you that real speed garage feel. I've then taken some more samples out of the speed garage pack. So we've got this little sort of scratch sample thing. It's got a lovely little bit of delay on it, so I didn't really need to do much. I've sent it to a big reverb send. Then what I did was to create some tension. You've got more space between them here. Then I doubled them up here, and then you've got this. So it's like just solo, just that. So it just creates that tension, and we've got a bit of a build up there. So this is what I mean about it just being daft and just really just hammering it with the energy. Then we've got this little like texture thing. So I've got an LFO sweeping through, took all the low end out, but it's filled it out. We've got this ragga sample, which I've added some delay onto. And there's some reverb on there, and yeah, like I say, there's the delay, so it just sort of nice little vocal sample before the drop, really. What I did was I didn't use the start of it. I just found a part that I liked. It's come from the Ultimate Speed Garage sample pack, and then I've just sort of dragged things onto the grid a little bit, and then it just gives it a bit of a sort of a rhythm to it, and it fits with the groove. We've then got this standard double arm. We could add some reverb on that actually. And then just before the drop that happens as well. And then I've actually been looking for a sample like this for ages. And that's come from the Ultimate Speed Garage sample pack as well, and I've just sort of snapped it to the grid a little bit and warped it. And then we've got this here, just another little dub sound. And then, as well as all the bass sounds and everything, you've also got various different one-shot sounds in the second pack, like. So I took this one and I loaded it into a sampler. I added some reverb to it, I added some decimal to it, and I took the bottom end out, and then we've got this. Proper garagey, so when it drops in here, you have that underneath. So I just played those notes in, and then I quantized it and added the same swing on. So you're just getting things to play off each other, really. So the last thing I just wanted to cover was the sidechain on the bass. So I've used the track spacer for this. And yeah, you can just see that I've brought the attack down and the release down a little bit so that the kick and the bass are working nicely together. So, and here. So that's my loop. What we're going to do now is we're going to dive into an entirely new project, and we're going to build something from scratch together. Right, let's go. So I'm going to just set up a few drum racks in here. We'll just get this saved first. And yeah, I'm going to, I'll tell you what I'll do first actually. Get rid of all of these. Get a drum rack on there. Call this one kick. Call this one clap. Hats. Perks. Like that. And then, yeah, let's just first of all up the tempo to 133. So speed garage typically is probably around 130 to 135. I found 133 to be a really nice place to start. And yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a nice kick that I know is nice and fat. So if I was to put in Sydney, that's nice. Yeah, so I'm just going to drag the kick onto there, and let's get a pattern in there. So I'm going to just extend it out by 4 like this, and then let's go. Get a swing on there. I'm going to go in there and just reduce the length of the kick, because it's got more room for the bass then. Let's go into the speed garage pack. Let's try this one. Maybe that layered with it so that we've got a bit of a longer tail. And then we need to get some hats in there. So I'm just going to drag in quite a lot of these hats just so I can play around and see what we can come up with, because a lot of that shuffle comes from the hats. So we'll extend that out. We'll also add the groove on there. Let's just copy that over, and then we can flip between them all like this. That's nice. Let's get some extra little shuffles in there. We just try and see what fits. Let's try the other. That's nice. Let's get all of these perks in here now on this perk channel. So we're just building a groove slowly, piece by piece, really. We're always having this groove on. So that's nice. Then towards the end we'll have a bit of a fill. Oof, nice. So those little fills at the end of the bars just sound so good. I'm now going to go in and I'm going to find like some hats for like a bit of a tick hat. So if I put in like garage, in here we have some nice clean drum hits as well. Those two are pretty nice, so we'll get those into a drum rack. And these tick hats just sit underneath and they just fill out the space a little bit. So we do it, keeps it rolling. We're going to just, when we do the velocities, we're just going to give them a bit of a natural feel. Nice. So I'm also, in terms of processing, we will do a bit of a mix at the end, but I actually want to add some random velocities onto this to give it a more human feel. And now I think it's time for us to start thinking about a naughty warping bass line. So let's have a look in some of these sample packs. So we just open a new MIDI channel, we double click on one of these. And let's just get a little loop going to see if I can jam something on the keys. Something along those lines, I think. So I think that last little phrase might work nice. But yeah, it's just all experimenting, really. So if we just yeah, that's quite nice. So we can just add, so for quantize it, add the swing on. And then we could just duplicate that. That's nice. So if we get that on there in the second part, pitch it up by an octave. Sounds nice like that, actually. If we did it one more, you can maybe nudge it along. Naughty. So let's get a bit of an arrangement in there. So what I would suggest doing is just starting to piece it together a little bit. So I like to start with like a main section like here when I'm arranging. Copy that out like this. I'm going to just bring that second bass line in here. And then we could have like a bit of a breakdown here, for example. So let's start to do this. But then we can start to litter in some samples and things like that from here. Like that, for example, would be sick. We just need to get it snapped on to the grid. It's just being a little bit awkward with the timing, so maybe we just need the let's undo that quantize there. So if we had our own little fade in. And then, yeah, we just keep building.
This is another
Avoid excessive.
Just all these sorts of samples.
Hey, gringo, what we bass?
Flying parties.
Some gunshots, why not? That'd be nice just before the drop, I think. So yeah, just chucking stuff in for the sake of the tutorial. And we will fill it out. We're going to bring some of the detail out of that bass line. I just find erosion works so well on the bass, just to bring out a little bit of detail in the top. So. That's nice as well. Yeah. And then you could sort of litter these in. That'd be nice just to fill things out here, I think, with a little bit of delay on it. You're just filling out the space. So we'll get a crash in. Really have it kicking right off. I think we need like an open hi-hat in there as well. That's a little bit more in your face. So let's have a look into that. I mean, what we could also do, of course, is see if there's some of these loops that we can use. Something like this. You should then bring it down a notch. There's lots of options, and I'm just doing this really quickly just for the purpose of the tutorial, but you'll get the picture, I'm sure. And let's maybe see if we can get some of these like melodic elements in from here, maybe the one shots. Might work in the breakdown, that one is a nice hit the way it landed. So let's do that and just get the swing on. So you can maybe sit some pads under it as well. You'd have to be in the right key. You could put your own pads in. But yeah, that's basically how I'd go about starting a loop and then start to arrange it out a little bit. So hopefully that's been useful if you are into your speed garage. If you're not, maybe there's some useful bits, or you can take elements and put it into your own productions. But yeah, nice one for watching.